You believe that you are an individual who sees the world exactly as it is. You believe that if you saw something with your own eyes, you would trust it. You believe that no amount of peer pressure could make you deny a fact. You are lying to yourself, and your brain is conspiring against you right now. There is a glitch in your operating system that terrifies psychologists. It is a biological override that forces you to reject your own senses. If I put you in a room with a group of strangers and they all lie to you, if they all point to a black wall and tell you with absolute confidence that it is white, you will not fight them, and you will not call them crazy or stand your ground. You will look at that black wall, and your brain will rewrite your reality until you see white. You will surrender your truth to the herd because your biology values belonging more than it values the truth. This is not a theory about weak-minded people, it is a fact about human survival. Data was proven in 1951 in a quiet laboratory at Swarthmore College by a man who wanted to understand how an entire nation could follow a dictator into hell. Tonight, we are going to expose the Asch Conformity Experiment. We are going to dissect the terrifying fragility of the human mind under social pressure. And we are going to answer the question that haunts every free thinker. Are you actually making your own choices, or are you just hallucinating the consensus? Welcome to the anatomy of the herd. To understand why you follow the crowd, you must first understand the architecture of fear. For millions of years, being right did not keep you alive, but being part of the tribe did. If you were alone in the savannah and you saw a shadow that looked like a lion, but the rest of your tribe did not run, you had a split-second choice to make. If you ran and you were wrong, you would be mocked and socially ostracized. If you stayed and you were wrong, you would be eaten, but at least you were with the group. Evolution selected for the genes that prioritize social cohesion over individual perception. Your brain has a region called the Anterior Cingulate Cortex. This is the alarm bell that rings when you experience physical pain. But neuroscientists have discovered something chilling about this specific region. It also lights up when you disagree with a group. Social rejection uses the exact same neural pathways as physical torture. When you stand alone against a crowd, your brain is not just nervous, it is in pain. It perceives the isolation as a threat to your biological existence. So it engages a defense mechanism called normative social influence. It acts as a tranquilizer for your critical thinking skills. It whispers to you that the group must know something you don't. It forces you to bend the knee, not because you are weak, but because you are terrified of the cold. We like to think of ourselves as lone wolves, but biologically we are sheep. And the shepherd does not need a dog to control us, he only needs the other sheep. This mechanism is usually invisible in our daily lives, hidden behind politeness. But in 1951, a psychologist named Solomon Asch decided to make it visible. He wanted to strip away the complexity of politics and morality. He wanted to test conformity in its rawest, purest form using nothing but lines on a card. What he found shattered the illusion of human independence forever. The setup was deceptively simple and almost boring in its design. Solomon Asch invited groups of 8 male college students into a classroom. They were told they were participating in a vision test to check their visual acuity. They sat around a large table in a semicircle. The experimenters stood at the front of the room holding 2 large white cards. On the left card was a single vertical black line, the target line. On the right card were 3 vertical lines of varying lengths labeled A, B, and C. The task was incredibly easy. A child could do it without thinking. The student simply had to say out loud which of the 3 lines matched the target line. The answer was obvious. The correct line was unmistakably clear. There was no optical illusion. There was no trick lighting. For the first few rounds, everything went according to plan. Experimenter would hold up the cards and go around the table one by one. Student 1, what is the answer? Line A, student 2? Line A, student 3? Line A, everyone agreed. The atmosphere was relaxed and mundane. But there was a secret in the room that only one person didn't know. 7 of the 8 students at that table were actors working for Solomon Asch. They were Confederates. They had been given a script before the experiment began. They were told exactly how to behave and exactly when to lie. The only real subject was the man sitting in the last seat. He was the naive subject. He believed he was just taking a vision test with his peers. He had no idea that he was the mouse in the maze. Then came the critical trial. Trial number 3. The experimenter held up a new set of cards. The answer was clearly line B. It was visibly identical to the target. Line A was obviously too short, and line C was obviously too long. The subject in the last seat relaxed, ready to say line B. But then the first student spoke. "I think it's line A." The subject blinked. He looked at the cards again. Maybe the first guy needed glasses. Then the second student spoke. "Line A." The subject started to feel a tightness in his chest. The third student spoke with total confidence. "Line A." Fourth student. Line A. Fifth student. Line A. Sixth student. Line A. Now it was the turn of the real subject. He was sweating. His heart was pounding in his ears. He looked at the lines and his eyes screamed it is line B, but his ears heard 6 people say, "It is line A." The social pain network in his brain began to fire like a siren. The anterior cingulate cortex screamed that he was about to be rejected. He looked around the table, desperate for eye contact, desperate for a sign. But the Confederates stared blankly ahead, totally convinced of their lie. The experimenter looked at him, waiting for his answer. Which line matches? The subject hesitated. He licked his lips, and then he whispered, "Line A." He lied. He denied the evidence of his own retina to align with a group of strangers. He surrendered his reality to avoid the discomfort of standing alone. Solomon Asch sat behind a one-way mirror and watched in horror. He didn't just do this once. He ran the experiment 12 times for each subject. In 37% of the trials, the subjects yielded to the group. 75% of all subjects conformed at least once. Only 25% never caved. Think about that number. 3 out of 4 people will knowingly lie about reality if the peer pressure is high enough. And remember, this was not a complex political opinion. This was a line on a card. If you can make a man deny physical reality with a few stern looks, imagine what you can make him do if you ask him to harm another human being. After the experiment, Asch interviewed the subjects to understand what happened inside their minds. Their answers revealed the 3 levels of the distortion. The first level was the distortion of action. These men knew the group was wrong, but they went along with it anyway. They didn't want to rock the boat. They didn't want to look stupid. This is the compliance phase. They conform outwardly while dissenting inwardly. This is the employee who nods at the toxic boss's bad idea. The second level was the distortion of judgment. These men thought, maybe my eyes are bad, or maybe the angle is weird. They assumed the group asterisk must asterisk be right because there were more of them. They doubted themselves before they doubted the majority. This is the internalization phase. They start to believe the lie because they lack confidence in their own truth. But the third level was the most terrifying. The distortion of perception. A small number of subjects actually hallucinated the wrong answer. Their brains were so desperate to resolve the conflict between their eyes and the group that the brain literally warped the visual signal before it reached their conscious mind. They truly saw the short line as the long line. The group had hacked their visual cortex. This proves that social reality can overwrite physical reality. Now look at the modern world through the lens of the Asch experiment. We are no longer sitting in a classroom with 7 people. We are sitting in a global classroom with 7 billion people, and the Confederates are everywhere. Social media algorithms act as the ultimate Confederate. They show you millions of people who all agree on a certain narrative. Everyone thinks this. Everyone hates that person. Everyone buys this stock. You look at your screen and you see a consensus. You might disagree at first. You might think that doesn't make sense. But then you see the likes. You see the retweets. You see the comments. Lina, your anterior cingulate cortex starts to scream. You feel the fear of being canceled, the fear of being the other. So you adjust. You start to doubt your own judgment. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I should just stay quiet. Maybe I should just post the black square. And eventually you reach the distortion of perception. You actually start to see the world the way the algorithm wants you to see it. Stop seeing the lines for what they are. You see what the tribe sees. This mechanism explains financial bubbles. It explains political polarization. It explains why cults can convince intelligent people to drink poison. It explains why corporate boards can drive companies off a cliff while everyone nods. The emperor has no clothes, but nobody wants to be the first one to say it. Because the last time someone said it, they were eaten by the lion. We are living in a permanent state of Asch conformity. And the scary part is that we don't even know who the Confederates are anymore. Are they bots? Are they paid influencers? It doesn't matter. The pressure is real, even if the people aren't. So how do you break the spell of the herd? How do you train your brain to endure the pain of isolation? You need the sovereign mind protocol. Rule number 1, the devil's advocate drill. Solomon Asch found one variable that shattered the conformity effect. If just *1 other Confederate gave the correct answer, the conformity dropped by 80%. You need an ally. But sometimes, you have to be your own ally. Train yourself to voice the opposing view in low-stakes situations. If everyone in the group wants pizza, say I prefer tacos. It sounds trivial, but you are training your anterior cingulate cortex. You are building up a tolerance to social friction. You are teaching your brain that disagreement does not equal death. If you unsay tacos when everyone wants pizza, you will never say no when the stakes are life and death. Start small to build the muscle of dissent. Rule number 2, validate the senses. When you feel the pressure to conform, pause, and do a reality audit, disconnect from the social input for a moment. Look at the data. Look at the facts. Look at the lines on the card. Write down what you see before you hear what others say. Asch's subjects faltered because they let the group speak first. Anchor your perception in physical reality. Sky's blue. The math doesn't add up. This behavior is wrong. Once you write it down, it becomes an external fact. It's harder to gaslight yourself when you have a written record of your original thought. Trust the raw data over the social consensus. Rule number 3, accept the social pain. The fear of rejection is a biological signal, not a moral command. When you stand alone, your heart will race. Your palms will sweat. You will feel a deep primal anxiety. Do not interpret this as I am wrong. Interpret this as my biology is trying to save me from a lion that isn't there. Acknowledge the pain. I feel the urge to conform, and then choose to ignore it. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the mastery of it. You must be willing to be the fool in the eyes of the group to be the sage in the eyes of history. The person who breaks the conformity is often punished in the moment, but vindicated in the end. Be willing to pay the price of admission for your own soul. Solomon Asch taught us that the truth is fragile. It can be bent by the weight of a stare, can be erased by the silence of a crowd. But he also taught us that it only takes one voice to break the illusion. One person refusing to say line A, one person standing up and saying the emperor is naked, that one person gives permission to everyone else to see the truth. You have the power to be that person. But you have to decide if you value your comfort more than your reality. This is Mysteria. The line is long. Do not blink.